There has been a lot of controversy surrounding JK boots over the last year, and we'll dig into a little bit of that. But just right from the get-go, I'm going to tell you, I am not a JK hater. However, some things have gone down in the last year that have made me question myself and my boots. I will get into it. Hello, friends. Today, we're going to talk about something that's been keeping me company for almost a year. And unfortunately, it's going to be a very honest conversation. Today, I will be reviewing the JK Boots OT in Redwood. I've been putting this particular review off for a long time. First off, JK Boots, they have a great story. JK John Kazi was a Ukrainian-born immigrant who came to America and built the JK Boots empire. He started out, I believe, I want to say Nick's, but you'll have to fact check me because I'm not 100% sure. And then he opened up his own shop in 1994 in Spokane, where all the big brands operate in the PNW realm. These boots are especially used by firefighters. They're the, I believe they're the number one firefighter boot out there in terms of sales. You'll have to fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure of that. They're also they were big among loggers. I don't know if they still are. Welders, farmers make a lot of boots. I will go through some of the models, but this is mostly just a review on the JKOT. Make a lot of boots. I will go through some of the models, but this is mostly just a review on the JKOT. Today, the company is ran by, it's a family run. I believe it's John and his sons. I'm not sure if there's any other family members involved, but you see them a lot on a lot of their marketing campaigns, which is one of the sticky issues with JK Boots. They've become more of a marketing machine than a boot company. I mean, they still make good high quality boots, but they are just an absolute marketing machine. I ordered my pair of JK boots the end of last summer, so I've had them for almost a year. When I ordered them as a 270 stitch down, and when they showed up at my door, they were a 360. Which is one of the things that they changed without telling a lot of people or anybody, or telling customers for that matter. And it pissed a lot of people off. Then they said that, we're not going to do the Super Duty that way. Long story short, I sent my Super Duty in for a rebuild, and it went in as a 270 and came back as a 360 stitch down, which really also pissed me off. No explanation. They didn't tell me about it. It just happened. And then all of that stuff came out later. I will show you those boots as well as some of my other JK boots later, just to show you I was a JK fan. I still am to a certain point, but not like I was. They have tainted the waters, and I will get into that a little bit. I have a pair of Super Duties that have been rebuilt into something that I didn't want. They were awesome before. They're not so awesome now. They look cool, but it's a 360, not a 270. It's not a PNW heritage style boot anymore. Which brings me to my next point. JK Boots is not a PNW heritage style boot company anymore. They are now their own category. I don't know how they classify themselves, but their boot construction, it is not the same. You are no longer a Pacific Northwest heritage style boot. You are your own boots. I don't know if they did that on purpose. They were tired of competing, or they are just trying to pump more boots out. I don't know what the deal is, but they still make a high quality boot. Don't get me wrong. It's still a good boot. It's just not the same. They have moved to machine lasting a lot of the boots. They still claim they hand last some boots, but I don't know which ones they are. But They are all 360 stitch down now. So I'm assuming that 99% of their boots are machine lasted, which again takes it out of the entirely handmade, hand lasted PNW boot category. They are not in that category anymore. They are their own entity, which is fine. If you want to make that move, that's up to you. Maybe they just didn't want to compete anymore. But they are still charging the high rates of a PNW heritage style boot, which that seems ludicrous to me. If you're going to make the changes you've made, lower the prices a bit, because that is what your boot is worth now. One of the other big gripes that I have is they have, I believe it's a function of going to the machine lasting. They have done away with their larger sizes. Now, JK Boots was known in the past for many, many years as being a safe haven for people with big feet. You can go there and you can get your big ass boots made for your big ass feet. I mean, it was up to size 16 and up to 8E. They have since done away with that. I'm assuming, again, you know what happens when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me, I know. But I'm assuming they've done away with those sizes because those boots no longer fit in their lasting machines. So now you can only get a, let me double check. Now you can only get up to a 13 5E. You can get a 6E if you go the custom route, but you cannot get a safety toe in 6E. So they have basically screwed all the big-footed brothers and sisters out there who relied on them for their larger size boots, which is tragic, honestly, because this is one of the last places that you could go to get those. Now, there are some other companies that have kind of picked up the slack. Nix makes larger boots. Whites is hit and miss. I've had trouble getting certain boots from Whites in the larger sizes, and I'm pretty sure Franks will do just about whatever you ask them to do. They are pretty good over there. But JK, they are no longer for the fat good, or the fat-footed. And it's tragic, honest. Now, having said all of that, oh wait, there's one more thing I wanted to go through. They went through that same period earlier where they took away their resoles, which screwed everybody with a JK 300. Because then you can't get those rebuilt, and all that JK offered was rebuilds. They claimed you could go get them done at a cobbler or sending work away. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. They stopped doing resoles. Now, they lowered the price on the rebuilds, but when you sent your boot in to get rebuilt and you had a 270 stitch down, it came back as a 360 stitch down. What happened to me, my Super Duties. I was not happy about that. I'm still not happy about that. But in the end, there was such an uproar over this that they backtracked, and now they're doing resoles again. And so that part is all happy-go-lucky unless you want a 270 stitch down, which you're not going to get. So that's neither here nor there. That's what it is. What it is. So now, having said all of that, I am here today to just review the JK Boots OT. I am not going to color my glasses rosy. I'm not going to take all this negative knowledge into this review. I am going to give these boots an actual honest review, whether or not I like what's happening at JK or not. This is a work boot review channel, and I'm going to review the boots to the best of my knowledge and ability without biasing anything else. It's about the boots. So, having said that, let's get into it. These are my JK Boots OTs. They're currently a little discolored because I just cleaned them and I just pulled these off the boot dryer. They're still wet. I just did a cleaning video for these. So here they are. They come with the honey lug outsole. This is the redwood leather. Now this is before they switched to the new butter tanned leather, which is supposed to be softer, easier break-in leather, but it's still the same thickness. That's one thing. JK Boots, their leathers are thick, so they got that going for them still. It's a nice thick leather. A lot of people report that they've had bad leather come out of the JK factory, but I think most of that was last year. I haven't heard much of that happening this year, and I did not have that problem. I've got good leather on my boots. All pairs of my boots had good leather, so that's not an issue. The OT platform here features a tapered midsole. You can barely see it because it's an old boot and it's come dirty. It's got a tapered midsole. It starts all the way here and then it tapers down to here to nothing, which allows the boot to flex more in the flex point than other boots. Now there is some disadvantages of this that I've discovered after having the boot. This is not enough to not collapse. You can see my boot, it has started to collapse, and I'm starting to feel that. Now, you can see here that it is wearing the very front side of the heel because it is flexed too much and the support in here is giving way. And when this boot sits flat, the heel now kicks up like this. Hold on. There you can see it pronounced here. It wasn't like that when it was new. And this is collapsing, is absolutely collapsing. This is about a year's worth of wear. And I can start, I just started feeling that recently. So up until recently, these have been extremely comfortable boots. I got to give it to them. Right out of the box, these were the most comfortable boots I've ever owned. And that says something because you've got all those crappy synthetic leather boots and fake materials in some of those other cheap boots. These were great day one. I got to hand it to them. That was absolutely true. But, like I said, it's been almost a year and it is failing. The arch support is failing. Now, I'm not the only one who's had that issue. I've actually seen that out there on a lot of other reviews and Reddit posts and Facebook and Instagram. It's happened to a lot of people. That design, while great for comfort and flexibility, until that arch support starts to collapse. And it's happening on both my boots. You can see on this boot too, the heel here is being worn on the front of the heel, and this no longer sits flat. It sits up like this. One of the good things going for it though, the 360 stitch down. The one thing I gotta hand it to for that 360 stitch down, my feet never got wet in these boots. And I was standing in a lot of water all winter. Well, until I got my Arctic boots, my JK Arctic boots. But for most of the winter, I was wearing these boots and my Nix Builder Pros. And in these, never one time, not once, unless water ran down my leg and got in here, which happened because I wear shorts at work, even in the nasty weather. I'm one of those weird guys, yes. My feet never got wet. Now, when I received these boots, I put a couple layers of Resolene along the sole edge and down in the stitch down area all the way around, and then I put several layers of Otter Wax. So on both the outside and on the inside. Now, I don't know if that was my doing or the 360 stitch down's doing or both, but like I said, for waterproofness, for a boot that's not waterproof but water resistant, I have never had a drier foot in a boot, so I had that going for it. Also, I treated the leather with Obenauf's oil and LP, not the rough out, just the oil, but this was all LP'd. So there's a pro for you there. Waterproof. They were waterproof, and they're not a waterproof boot. They're a water-resistant boot. But that 360 stitch down, that's one of the things it's known for, and it did its job. Now, I am not a 360 stitch down guy. I prefer the 270 because it looks better. Also, on my boots, I am ruining this back here, which means I am not going to be able to get these resold. They will have to be rebuilt every single time. Because in my line of work, I mess up the back edge of this, and this leather will not be able to be restitched through for resoles. So that's one bad part about a 360 stitch down. If you mess up the leather where it gets stitched down, you're SOL and you've got to do a rebuild instead of a resole. So overall, like I said in the beginning, this was a great boot. The JKOT was flexible, it was comfortable, and it was waterproof. And I'm only just now, about a year in, having problems. Which still, the boots I used to wear before I discovered the P&W boots, which these are no longer P&W Heritage style boots. I will die on a hill for that one. They still lasted longer and better, and the comfort lasted longer than any Red Wing or any other crappy boot that I used to buy. I'm not saying the Red Wings particular are crappy, but they're not as good. The traction on these Honeylugs is fantastic. I never had any problems with these. I've never slipped with the Honeylugs. I've slipped with the regular Black V100 in a few wet situations, but I've never slipped with the Honeylug. And they were soft. They were comfortable underfoot. This is my first, I think, unit lug boot, so it's got that going for it. That's a positive. But like I said, that arch support failing, and that is a big deal. Unfortunately, I love these. I love these boots. I loved these boots up until about a month ago. These were top two. My Nix Builder Pros were number one. These were my number two boots. I loved these boots. Now they're starting to hurt my feet. I no longer love them. And why would I rebuild a boot that's not going to last me another year? I think I'll just spend the money and get a different pair. So, unfortunately, this is going to be my last pair of JKOTs. And I cannot recommend them to anybody who does the kind of work I do. Let's put that. I can recommend them to some other people. If you're on your feet all day and maybe you don't weigh 350 pounds, that arch support might not collapse quite so fast, and you might be better off. If you're in a warehouse or you're a plumber or an electrician where you're bending and you need that flex all the time, this might be a perfect boot for you. But if you're a garbage man, no, don't get this boot. It'll be good for a year, but then you're just going to need another boot or a rebuild. Maybe if you're a light enough guy, you can get a resole, but I think if you're in my line of work, you're going to rip up that the back end heel of that 360 stitch down. You're not going to be able to get it rebuilt anyways. Maybe if you're a construction guy that's not on, pushing shovels all day, you don't need that extra support in there for ladders and stuff. Maybe this would be a good boot for you. If you're on concrete, it's probably a good boot. If you're light off-road, it's a good boot. But if you're going to go off-road or in gravel all the time or out in the mud, I would probably go up to a Super Duty if you're going to stay with JK. If you're in a warehouse scenario, I'd probably go with the forefronts. The JK forefronts for that are so. I'm testing some forefronts right now. I'm going to tell you right now, they'd be great for a guy in a warehouse or working inside or at a desk job who sometimes goes out. That'd be good for that. The JKOTs, not great for me. They might be great for you, but that's how I feel about that. Like I said, I thought it was a good-looking boot from the beginning. Maybe I can find some of my old pictures and I'll put them in here. But the redwood leather was beautiful. I loved it. I loved this boot. I've got the composite toe, by the way. It's not the most beautiful shape boot, but it fit good. That's the other thing too. JK boots, they have a different kind of fit than all the other boots. So make sure if you're going to order JK boots, you get the fit right. Look at the fitting guides and all that stuff. They say down a full size from Brannick. I actually had to go down a size and a half. You might be in the same situation. Best bet, maybe go get fitted or follow their sizing guides, but definitely don't get your Brannick size. Those boots will be too damn big. These ones are perfect for me. 10.5 6E with a comp toe, no longer available. in my size. So I said earlier that JKs will, JK02s, this will be my last pair of OTs. These will probably be my last JKs, period, because the forefronts I also got were probably the last 60s to come out of their factories with the Comptos. So I'm probably done with JK with the boots that I have now. I will actually show you what I have so you know I'm not a JK hater. I'm just being real with you guys. So if you're a JK lover, I'm not here to put down the brand. I'm just setting the record straight. I will show you the JK boots that I do own to prove that I loved the JK brand until they screwed me and all the other fat-footed people. Okay, so these are my JK OTs, but they are the Rose Anvil Blood Bison Bear Slayers. I've got these. Love these so far, by the way. These are my JK OT in Coyote Roughout. I got these because they reminded me of my time in the service, and they were kind of a little gift to myself. I rarely wear these, so the arch support on these will stay good for a long time because I don't wear them very often. Unfortunately, those Bear Slayers, they're going to be dead in less than a year. These are my rebuilt Super Duties. These boots were awesome before I sent them off, and they came back as a 360 stitch down. I love the way they look. It's a good looking boot. Oops. However, this is not the same boot that I sent away. It feels different, it fits different, and it's just not the same. And it's very unfortunate. I rarely wear this, and now I only wear it because it looks good, not because I can go work in it. These are the JK Arctics. This is a good boot. Now, I love this boot. This boot is currently put away and was in a box full of stuff to keep it dry and clean and not moldy over the summer. This is a good boot. Unfortunately, this will be my last pair because they no longer make my size. These are my JK forefront in the Prairie Bison. Currently testing these for a review. Again, this will be my last pair of forefronts because they no longer make my size. You see where I'm going with this, guys? And then my last pair of JK boots is another pair of forefronts in the Canyon Bison. I love this leather. It's beautiful. But again, I can't get it any other boot because they no longer make my size. Why would you do that, JK? That's just ridiculous. So you can make a few more boots by machine lasting your boots. Okay, I'm getting off a tangent. You guys see where I'm going with this. I love the JK boots. I have a lot of JK boots, and it's unfortunate that I will never be able to get another pair. That's just the way it is. But I digress. This is a review for the JK OT. Again, great for some people, not good for others. I would recommend it to people who have to kneel a lot or need that extra flexibility. I would not recommend it for anybody who needs additional support because that support's not going to be there. It's there in the beginning, it goes away. Good boot, pretty waterproof, very comfortable from the beginning up until the arch support starts to settle and no longer be good. So, having said all that, like I said, it hurt me to make this video. I was a very avid supporter of JK boots for a long time. And now I'm kind of not. And it's unfortunate. If you want to see these boots torn apart, you can go over to, I believe it's Damgart. He's got a YouTube channel where he tears boots apart, like Rose Anvil kind of, but his are, not quite to that extent. Or that volume, I should say. I think it's just mostly JK and whites, and I think it was a Franks in there. But he can show you the inside constructions of these boots. I'm not going to do that. I like my boots, even though that they're going to go down a road that I'm not going to be able to get them fixed or use them anymore, which is a bummer. Now, the one thing I don't know is if I can have these rebuilt in my size. I'm going to assume maybe, but if they're not going to make them in that size, are they even going to have the last to build my size? I don't know. So that's another thing you'll have to find out for yourself, or I'm going to find out when it comes time. Anyways, like I said, painful video. I hate having to say anything negative about those guys. I mean, they've hurt a lot of people, and they've gotten into arguments and fights with a lot of people. But for me, they always were nice and cordial and had great customer service. It's just the business practices and the build direction that they've gone. It's just a bummer for me. Anyways, if you liked my video, like, comment, subscribe. I'm not sure anybody made it this far because there was a lot of talking and not a lot of boot looking. So if you like it, like, comment, and subscribe, and stick around for more videos. And I think there's some links somewhere for other videos. Thanks, guys. Boot Nerd out.